You have a knife, one knife. 8 inches of steel, full tang. Fixed blade, you know how to use it. You have watched enough survival videos, read enough forums. Maybe even taken a weekend course somewhere you feel reasonably confident that if things got bad, you could figure it out. Now the world disappears. Not slowly, not with warning. One moment you are here in the present, with your phone and your shoes and your general understanding of how reality works. The next moment you are standing in the middle of a landscape that has not existed for 10,000 years. The air is different, thicker. Colder, the smell hits you first, green and animal, and completely wrong. There are no roads, no buildings. No horizon line interrupted by anything human, just a tree line. A river somewhere below and a sky so full of birds it looks like smoke. You have your knife. You have the clothes on your back, you have whatever you know. How long do you survive? Let us be precise about this. Let us not be optimistic, let us go through exactly what happens. Hour by hour and day by day, when a modern human being is dropped into the Pleistocene with a single tool and no tribe. The first problem arrives within 40 minutes. You are thirsty. Not seriously, not dangerously. But your body is signaling the need for water, and there is a river nearby. You walk toward it. So far so good, but here is what your knife cannot do. Your knife cannot tell you whether that water contains Giardia, Cryptosporidium, liver flukes, or any of the other waterborne parasites that made drinking from open water sources one of the leading causes of death in the ancient world, and still kill over 1 million people per year in the developing world today. Your knife cannot boil water. You have no container, you have no fire yet. So you make a choice: drink and risk it. Or stay thirsty. If you drink, you have probably introduced a parasite or a pathogen into your body. It will not kill you today. It will start killing you in about 3 days when the diarrhea begins, which accelerates dehydration, which weakens you for every subsequent challenge. You need fire. Fire gives you the ability to boil water. Fire gives you warmth, which matters more than you realize right now. Because the temperature is dropping as the afternoon moves toward evening, and you are wearing clothes designed for a climate-controlled indoor life, your knife can baton through wood. It can help you split small logs. It can whittle a fire bow drill spindle if you know how, which is harder than every YouTube video makes it look. The fire bow drill method requires dry wood of the right species, the right moisture content, the right technique, and the right physical conditioning. It fails for most people most of the time, even people who have practiced. Archaeologist Johann Heim documented in his 2003 fieldwork on prehistoric firemaking that the success rate for first-time bow drill users is under 15%. Even with coached instruction, assume you get fire. You are now doing well, better than most. You have fire on day 1, which means you have boiled water, which means your hydration problem is manageable. Your knife cut the wood. Your knife notched the fireboard. Your knife is earning its keep. Night arrives. This is where the modern mind encounters its first genuine psychological break. You have no shelter, you have no sleeping bag. You have no light source beyond your fire, which you must now maintain through the night. The fire requires fuel. Getting fuel in the dark, in an unfamiliar forest, is not the same as getting fuel in daylight. Sounds arrive that you cannot identify, not threatening sounds necessarily. Just sounds, an enormous amount of sound. From insects, from wind, from the movement of large animals that you cannot see and cannot assess. Sleep researcher Jerome Siegel, whose work on the Hadza and other hunter-gatherer sleep patterns was published in Current Biology in 2015, found that even people who grew up sleeping outdoors maintain a different biological sleep architecture from people raised indoors. Your nervous system was not calibrated for this. You will sleep badly. You will wake repeatedly. You will begin day 2 already slightly impaired. Day 2, you are hungry. This is manageable hunger, not critical. But your body is beginning to redirect resources toward the problem of food. Your knife is extremely useful here. You can set a simple snare using plant cordage that you prepare with your knife. You can sharpen a steak. You can gut and clean an animal if you catch one. The question is whether you catch one. Snares take time to work. Simple steak snares for small animals require placement in the right location, which requires reading animal sign, which requires either prior knowledge or the willingness to observe and learn over multiple days. You will probably not eat on day 2. You are also beginning to feel the effects of physical exertion without adequate caloric input. The landscape requires constant movement, finding materials, collecting firewood, sourcing water, scouting the area. A modern adult doing moderate physical activity in a cold environment burns approximately 3,000 to 4,500 calories per day. You are consuming 0. Your glycogen stores last roughly 24 to 36 hours of moderate activity. By the end of day 2, you are running on fat reserves, and beginning to lose the fine motor precision that makes your knife useful. Day 3, the parasite you ingested on day 1 begins to announce itself. This may be diarrhea, nausea, cramps, or all three. Your ability to retain fluid and nutrition is compromised. You are still not eating. Your fire, if you maintained it through 2 nights, is the one stable element of your situation. Here is what your knife cannot do. And this is the most important thing: your knife cannot replace a tribe. Paleoanthropologist Sarah H. Hardy, in her research on cooperative breeding and human evolutionary psychology, has argued that the fundamental human adaptation is not intelligence, not language, not tool use, it is interdependence. The human body, the human nervous system, and the human immune system evolved in the context of a group. Food was shared. Knowledge was distributed. Childcare was collective. Disease was managed communally. The idea of a lone human surviving in the Pleistocene is, in evolutionary terms, almost a paradox. Your ancestors did not survive alone. The ones who survived alone were the ones who made it back to the group. Your knife is a tool from a tradition of tools that spans 3.3 million years, from the first Oldowan flakes chipped at Lomqui 3 in Kenya, to the hand axes of the Acheulean, to the composite blades of the Middle Stone Age, to the fixed blade steel knife in your hand. Right now, every innovation in that chain was developed by groups, transmitted within groups, refined over generations. The knife you are holding represents millions of years of accumulated human ingenuity, and it is still not enough to keep you alive alone. There is a counterintuitive turn here, and it is this: the most dangerous thing about your situation is not the predators. A healthy adult human, alert and mobile, is not easy prey for most large Pleistocene animals. Wolves avoid confrontation, cave lions prefer ambush, and generally select for sick or isolated individuals. Even the short-faced bear, one of the largest terrestrial mammalian predators of the Pleistocene, was primarily a scavenger and avoided direct conflict. When possible, the most dangerous thing about your situation is the knowledge gap. Not what you do not know in theory, but what you cannot do in practice. Your knife can process an animal, but can you identify which plants near the river are edible and which are toxic? The landscape you are standing in contains thousands of plant species, a significant percentage of which produce alkaloids, oxalic acid, cyanogenic glycosides, or other compounds that cause serious harm. Without the lived, embodied, community-transmitted knowledge of which plants are safe, your entire plant-based food strategy defaults to trial and error. Trial and error with toxic plants has a correction period measured in hours to days, during which you may be incapacitated, vomiting, or unconscious. Your knife can build shelter components, but the insulation efficiency of a debris hut depends on the depth and quality of the debris layer. Research on primitive shelter thermoregulation by archaeologist Will Robrooks suggests that effective cold-weather shelters in the Pleistocene required a minimum debris depth of 60 centimeters and took 4 to 6 hours of labor to construct properly. You can do this. Your knife makes it faster, but you are doing it hungry, tired, and alone. By day 7, if you have managed water, some calories from insects or small game, fire every night, and shelter against the cold, you are in a genuinely survivable situation. Not comfortable, not stable, but alive. The research of anthropologist Kim Hill, who has worked extensively with the Ache people of Paraguay, shows that modern hunter-gatherers in comparable environments average approximately 6 hours of food acquisition activity per day to sustain adequate caloric intake. You are doing this with no prior knowledge of the landscape, no social support, and a single steel tool. But something else is happening by day 7. Your knife, which felt like everything on day 1, now feels like what it actually is. One tool in a system that requires dozens. You need a container for water. You need cordage for snares. You need a scraper for hide. You need a digging tool for roots. You need a wedge for splitting wood efficiently. Your knife can approximate all of these things imperfectly. At great cost of time and energy, it is the Swiss Army knife of the Pleistocene. And it is still not enough. Here is the truth about what would actually save you, and it is not the knife. It is making contact with a group. It is being found, or finding, or being taken in by a band of humans who are already living in this landscape, who know it, who have names for every plant and every animal track and every weather pattern, who have fire-making knowledge that achieves success rates above 90% because it has been refined over thousands of generations, who have social systems for sharing food during scarcity, who have medical knowledge encoded in plants and techniques. The knife would make you useful to them. They would make you survive. This is not a story about the limitations of the knife. The knife is extraordinary. Steel in the Pleistocene is the most advanced technology in the history of the world. To that point, no human being alive has ever held anything like it. It would be recognized immediately as powerful beyond explanation. It would make you valuable. But it would not make you self-sufficient. Nothing makes a human self-sufficient. That is not what humans are the species that survived by being impossible to separate from each other. Your knife gave you a chance, the group would have made it a certainty. You wake up on day 8 still alive, the fire is low but not out. You caught something small in the snare, you can hear the river. You are colder and thinner and more exhausted than you have ever been, but you are alive. And somewhere upstream at a bend in the river, there is smoke. You pick up your knife and you walk toward it.